The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another exciting edition of the Power Trading Hour with me, your humble, lovable, squeezably soft, and almost late host. I was trying to put 10 pounds of time in a 5-pound sack in the last 15 minutes. A lot of opportunities opened themselves today, and I had to actually figure out how to get it all in there. And of course, you hurry up and you start making mistakes. So I had to clarify my mistakes and move on with my life and try to figure out how to get a few positions into the newsletter. And I'm going to have to probably look a little harder. There's a lot of them I like to get, but options on some pretty good, options on other pretty ridiculous. So I'm going to have to bypass some what I think are pretty good trades to find some ones that actually have some decent risk reward. All of them do. It's just I guess I'm greedy. Let me put it that way. I think there are a lot of positions opening up. I think we have a big market turn coming in the next 24 hours. We'll talk about that throughout the show. This would be a great day to give me a call at 877-927-6648 as the market goes on hold for earnings after the bell. We'll get to those in a minute. And in the meantime, it's time to get this party started.
That it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
On this day in 1803, the U.S. Senate ratifies the Louisiana Purchase Treaty, under which the U.S. pays France less than 3 cents an acre for 828,000 square miles of territory, stretching from the Mississippi River to the Rockies and from the Gulf of Mexico to the Canadian border. In a stroke of a pen, the United States nearly doubles in size, and a huge frontier of opportunity opens up for its citizens and, of course, those non-citizens that sprint across the border. Other things like that, not a lot of news going on. Of course, we'll get to all the stocks that are moving. But after the bell tonight, we've got some big Mac Daddies with Chipotle reporting, Cree, not so big anymore, Illumina, Intuitive Surgical, iRobot, Packaging Corporation America, VMware, and Yahoo. And, of course, all of those, except probably Chipotle doesn't have a hand grenade with a pin out of it. But a lot of those other ones do. They've been smacked around. They've bounced. They've come back. And the question is, will these things start living up to their promise? And even with, what we've seen in the last 24 hours for earnings here that have already come out, what do we know about how the dollar is affecting us, other things like that? Anyway, we're going to try to get into it as quickly as possible. As we start off the show, we always like to check in the S&P and see what's going on. We're off 6 points. Volume is average at 2 billion shares as we start the show. The downside of that is we did go up to 2039, so we've made a fairly bearish reversal, at least in the very short term. We'll have to see how things happen. We also have one more major hurdle, and sometimes we've talked about how IPOs can suck all the oxygen, including all the cash, out of a market. And Ferrari will be public. They're supposed to price tonight, but should be public somewhere around, 10:30 tomorrow, 11 o'clock. At least that's what everybody's saying. It may be 10:30, maybe earlier than later. My guess is that they will hold the market up into that. If it starts rallying after that, then you can probably make a pretty good case for the bulls. If it falls over at that point, kind of like that old guy that was on Laugh-In. He wasn't actually old. He dressed old. I'm trying to remember what his name was. But they go up to him, and they touch him, and he just fall over. Well, I think one of those two scenarios is probably going to happen in the next 24 hours. So keep everything and keep your powder dry. I think you got some action finally coming out of expiration. Of course, this is the last day of options rollover. So we may have had a little of that in today's initial action. But now the question is everybody going to drop the chalupa in the punch bowl? There's another mixed metaphor for you. I love it. But that's it. Now, I don't have a lot of slides here, but I do have a few things that I thought were very interesting. Of course, the Chinese Prime Minister is in England. I like Chinese. And I thought it was rather funny, but they are falling over each other in England right now to get business with the Chinese. Of course, we all know that that is where stocks and money go to die if you don't live in that country. And, of course, Yum Brands today actually deciding that I think they were going to just have a little amputation. They're just going to cut a piece off of their company and just throw it at the mercy of the trading gods. Let's take a quick look at it on what they're going to do. It did gap up a little higher, but I don't know. The question is, do you just throw all this money away? Is the limb gangrene already? Do they have to cut it off? Can they cut it off? Does it make any difference if they do cut it off? Well, it did gap up on that news, but to me, their problems are bigger than that. The China money will all be written off. We'll see the same thing probably in Win. I don't think a lot of people, one, have ever been in China. Two, really understand just how really different the culture is there. And I don't think a lot of people have ever been in Southeast Asia at all, other than, of course, our military. But we think, everybody likes to get all down on America. We're all racist. We don't hold a candle to the way that the Chinese hate the Japanese hate the Koreans hate the Japanese. It's not just a little bit of dislike and not getting a job and getting paid less. It's almost Middle East-like, but they keep it undercover. I'd put it that way. They don't let it out in the open as much. And, of course, what can you say about those wonderful North Koreans? Wow. I mean, talk about somebody you want to invite to the party. They're just no into it. Of course, most of them live on grass, but I mean, the leaders and that kind of stuff, they would be just wonderful people at a party, don't you think? Anyway, it is a little different than everybody thinks. We're off 4.5 points on the S&P cash now, so we will be looking at some of these others, but thought it was very, very interesting. We got Janet Yellen. I think she was out at 11 a.m., and it didn't seem to move the markets that much. Of course, after the bell tonight, not only do we have earnings, but we've got Ferrari placing a rather huge IPO. I don't see anything else behind it. Normally, when we get these IPOs and these movements like we did in the last week, they try to make everything look wonderful. It's like a bathroom that the guy was just in there. You don't want to go in there. Just gives you the shivers. You got to let a little time go by before you go back down there. And, of course, Albertson didn't make it out there and stunk up the place. So now we've got Ferrari, which everybody – I've heard about 3 brokers today that I've talked to, and they're all trying to push these shares out, telling me how tough it would be to get any of them. But to me, I've heard that so many times that it is very much like Mark Twain. And it's pretty much like Mark Twain wrote in his book where he got Tom Sawyer. Is it Tom Sawyer or Huckleberry Finn? It was Tom Sawyer to go out and act like he was really happy about painting the fence. And by the end of the day, he got everybody's little balls of string and chewed pieces of chewed gum. and a penny and a bunch of other stuff from all the kids in town to let them have a chance to paint the fence that he, of course, didn't want to paint at all, but got everybody else all excited about. Everybody's telling me how this thing's going to gap up 10, 15 bucks. Everybody's got to have it. And all it does is remind me of GoPro. And how is that? Everybody was telling me how GoPro was not, when it went public anyway, was not just one of those companies that it is a hardware manufacturer. It was a content provider. Well, this content provider got down to $26.68 from being up almost at $100. The CEO's done everything in the world to make me think it's not a content company. And of course, his dad was a major shaker in either a hedge fund or a broker dealer. I can't remember right now off the top. So I know the guy knows every trick in the book. And of course, he pulled every single one of them. Ferrari, not that big deal, but the idea that it isn't, so it's a luxury manufacturer of cars. It's still a car manufacturer. Maybe there's a little bit more of a multiple up there. Now, the story that everybody is pushing to broker dealers to push Ferrari out tomorrow is much like the one in the German manufacturers today. And that is that if you go and look at a Mercedes today, you'll see Mercedes is for $250,000 and you see them for $30,000. Well, there didn't used to be the little $30,000 or $25,000 Mercedes. They changed and, of course, made that a car that could be a $250,000 car or a $25,000 car. But eventually, every time that's been tried before, short term it worked. Long term, it depreciated the value of the brand. If someone says you've got a Lexus, you pretty much know that they've got a premium automobile, or at least more premium than a Toyota. If someone tells you a Toyota, it can be anything from a box with 4 13-inch wheels on it that drives around and looks like something out of a Woody Allen movie in 1969. Oh, I love that sleeper movie. But it is one of those things where you can get some short-term good out of it. Now, the story is that Ferrari will pull a Mercedes. At least that's what everybody's pushing out there. It's just hard for me to be that, to believe that. I've been over there. I've been in the Ferrari manufacturing plant and went through it. It's been 10, 15 years ago, while I was getting a motorcycle from a company called Ducati. I went over and wandered through there. They have incredibly changed the level at which they make their products, but I'll guarantee you it is not inexpensive. If they make an inexpensive car, all it's going to be is a huge boondoggle for them where they lose massive amounts of cash. I would not be caught dead buying Ferrari, although I want a few more of their cars. In the meantime, we'll be back tomorrow. No, we'll be back after the commercial. We'll be back tomorrow, too. Both were true.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Biotech is booming, but for how long? Whether you think the biotech bull has room to run or has run its course, trade LABU or LABD. Direction's daily S&P Biotech 3 times bull and bear ETFs. Visit directioninvestments.com/biotech today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
I had a couple of questions out here, but mostly about why everything's going on in the semiconductor department right now, and that is a few reasons. But question, it just seems rather desperate to me. Everything looks like everybody thinks that the clock is running out and that Cinderella will happen at midnight. EMC itself, of course, we've talked about this. They're saying they're going to buy it out for $35, and no one believes it. And the question in the den was, do you think this thing ever closes? And I'm going to tell you that nobody in the stock market thinks it will. And if nobody in the stock market thinks it will, none of the bankers are going to write off on a big $45 billion loan. So I am going to say no. Now, did it have some decent volume? It did. Does it make it worth a little bit more than it was? Maybe. But to me, EMC is directly in the crosshairs of everything that Micron and Intel and Microsoft and others are doing. And, you get two bad things together, it doesn't make them any better. EMC is in a failing or a longer-term failing business. And this is not a Reese's Pieces where you're putting chocolate together with peanut butter. Maybe you're putting peanut butter together with maybe another kind of peanut butter with Dell. And I just don't see how you get a lot more than the peanut butter. It's the sum of two different things really needs to complement each other, and I just don't see how it does. I can see how Dell could think that it was, but I think he's thinking, 10 years ago. I don't think he's really figured out that the world has changed and it's a cloud-based service, and they really don't need him as much as he thought they did. Like I said, I think some of this is desperation to get them public again without them having to go through their books. Some people are calling this a buy under. I just don't think anybody's buying it. I would say the chances of success of EMC actually being bought out by Dell anywhere close to that $45 billion price point are 10 or 15%. I think they're very low. But just one man's word out there. I had some questions here during the break from email. You can always email me. Yeah. What else did I was going? Oh, I got some email here, so I wanted to talk about that. And the question is, what do I use for Windows 10 and a browser? I use a thing called WaterFox, which is a changed version of Firefox. So you can look that up or Google it if you want it. One of the other things I wanted to do was this. Bring this up. Where's it at? It's in that. I just moved it. Hang on a second. Was the Baltic Dry Index. One of the reasons I'm not feeling all that warm and fuzzy about a market going higher is the Baltic Dry Index. Let me get the link here. Anyway, it's down another $7 for 1% today, but it had that huge rally. Let's go back here and look. It had that huge rally, but it's given it all back up, and it's done nothing since we talked about that rally into August. It's done nothing but go down since then, and to me, it looks to me like we're headed right back down to that 600 point level on the Baltic Dry Index, and that tells me everything about economic activity. I think we had a very short amount of time there where China was buying a lot of crude because they thought that they could. They were snapping up a lot of those boats, and that's all that it took. Anyway, we're headed all the way right back down. It looks to me like that. And if we look at China, to me, it looks like maybe we were in for round two. It's hard for me to really look past that and figure out exactly how anything is different than maybe 2 months ago when China was having all the problems. I think maybe we've had the first round of China come through, and maybe it's time for the second round where we start seeing the reality that nothing has really changed over there. At least Jim Chanos is saying that. I don't see a lot of reasons for him to say otherwise. If he is short, but he's not one for pontification. He's pretty on-the-nose kind of guy. We'll be right back.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN, and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
Today, it's hard to tell if the economy is coming or going. Regardless, I want my money going in the direction I choose. If that's your stance as well, then you want to know how Everbank can help keep your money thriving just the way you want. Is growing your money a priority? Everbank is committed to a yield pledge promise to pay high yields on your checking, money market, and CD balances. Looking to diversify? Everbank ingeniously developed accessible ways to spread your money around the world into foreign currencies and even non-FDIC insured metals. And when it comes to your wealth, they bring a highly experienced and global perspective to help you manage it. Everbank's financial philosophy flies in the face of the status quo. They believe your money's performance should not be determined by today's economic circumstances, but by the drive to rise above them and create opportunities that favor your objectives. If that excites you, like it does me, call 1-855-750-4051 to find out what they can do for you. That's 1-855-750-4051. Call them today. Everbank is a member FDIC and equal housing lender.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
I had an interesting email. In fact, I'm going to send it to a gentleman that emailed me here in a minute. But, you know, I started in really October of 1998 as a full-time trader. And this email basically talks about how you actually place a order with a broker over the phone. And I thought about it. You know what? One of the reasons I don't talk that way is because I've placed 2 orders in 17 years over the phone. Maybe it was just maybe people that have been around longer than that was it. But I never really got into it. I just know I had a button for long, I had a button for short, I had a button for cover, I had a button for sale, and that's it. I never really had to think a great deal about that. It's just kind of, it'd probably be like talking to somebody about a rotary phone or an 8-track that was born 20 years ago. They would just look at you and kind of the eyes would glaze over. I understand what the gentleman is saying and want to thank him for his email because it actually points out something I could do better. But it is kind of interesting that the way people think has a lot to do with the way that they've done stuff. I've never done anything but trade electronically. And in the early days, it was Daytech before Ameritrade bought them and kind of Daytech was one of the best platforms early on. Long gone, though. What can you say about that? Anyway, we'll go to some other things here. We've got other emails too, and I wanted to get to those. Some of the questions about what's going on in the market, but mostly these have to do with how everything is actually trading out here. So let's take a quick look at that. Wanted to look at some of the movers that we've been out here looking at. And to me, probably the most interesting is Tesla. I started seeing this slip early on, and it just gets worse. I haven't checked the news on it. Let's check the headlines real quick. But certainly, you've got almost 10 million shares out here today. Recommended status pulls. Oh, Consumer Reports pulls recommended status for Tesla stock. Model. Well, here it is. This is from Consumer Reports. This extensive data, basically they did some additional testing and found out some more stuff from the people that had bought it. This extensive data allows us to forecast that owning a Tesla will likely mean worse than average reliability, a decline from last year's average prediction. As a result, the Model S will not receive the recommended designation, even though it did so well in our separate road test evaluations. To be recommended, a vehicle has to meet stringent testing, reliability, safety standards, including having a average or better predicted reliability. Guess that's all you need is if a magazine can make you, it can break you. Question in the den is, do you think traders were less impulsive before electronic trading and computer trading? Well, I know that brokers were in the crash of 87 and also big problems in 98. You did have all kinds of problems. Do we have a sound in the den, or are we out? But we'll get it. But to me, the biggest problem probably wasn't the impulse, although there may be a little bit to it. Well, everybody says they lost everything. So hopefully, oh, there they go. Okay. The question in the den was, do you think traders are less impulsive before electronic trading or computer trading? And I think that there's probably a little bit of it because you can do it so much quicker. It doesn't take 2 minutes to get the broker on the phone. You don't have to give them all your data. You don't have to know them. You don't have to wait for them to get them off the phone. I can remember trying to make some trades and they never went through, but I called 5 or 10 minutes before 4 and the broker never got to me before the market closed and all that kind of stuff. I guess probably the biggest change would be for computer or electronic trading was the ability to trade after hours. Although so many people got creamed in the 2000s for that after-hour trading, especially from about 2001 till about 2005, that it drove a lot of people that were heavily after-hours traders to get out, mostly because they went broke. But to me, the biggest thing was that the broker-dealers no longer could just not pick up the phone. And that was the old strategy if you were on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange or if you had something to do. NASDAQ was a little different than that. But the crash in 87, the crashes that really were happening in 98 when I was just getting started, had a great deal to do with the fact that the broker-dealers in the New York Stock Exchange would just wander off if things weren't going their way. No reason to get in front of that. No reason to take any arrows. Just wander away. And today, we've got the flash crash a little different, but at the same time, for the most part, when you pull the trigger, it goes bang. And I think a trader, that's probably the only thing a trader really wants to know. Do I think it's better? Oh, that's for Z, than the early years. Do not know. But anyway, Tesla coming down, strong volume. Looks like 195 is everywhere around us. I'm sure this will be the talk of the town tonight. And boy, I wanted to short this thing, and it was just everything on it said lower, and the short interest was just sky high. Never could pull the trigger on it. Just part of my discipline on it. Great for those people that did it. It just breaks my rules for shorting, which is make sure that you've got not a ton of shorts in it. And it was heavily shorted. So I think a lot of people in Wall Street already knew. Again, I've talked about this stock for so long, but it's a $40 stock at $202 for the low of the day today. The question is just how long does everybody figure out that takes to get it back? Probably a level where you could make some money in the future someday, but going to be much tougher. What else do we have out here? Rambus off on bad news, RMBS, kind of giving some action to some of the other stocks out here like SanDisk. SanDisk was much higher earlier. Rambus, of course, is I know Tom talks a great deal about these kind of royalty companies where they get money when everybody sells and buys stuff. Rambus is exactly that. It makes most of its money through patenting and other things. And I didn't read the news on that. Let's get the headlines on Rambus real quickly. Disappointing outlook. Scary day. Well, it's the biggest loser. You know, I have a feeling this, in fact, if I dig back into it, I can just about guess why this is doing it. It goes back to everything we've been talking about with Micron and Intel, and that is as memory moves into the future, most of these patents that Rambus has and the ability to license a lot of the stuff, this goes away. We could probably dig in a little bit further and find out that some of these patents are expiring, and that also is problematic for some companies like Rambus. But off more than 25% today, so I don't know what else you can say about that. It's blown through its previous low of September 24th by a factor of 8 as we speak today. And let's just go back a number of years. This thing was like a $4 stock. Very hard for me to figure out that this thing isn't headed back down to $4 and maybe even less, because I don't think any of the patents that these guys have where they get most of their licensing and royalty money ever gets in there. Now, I wouldn't short a $14 stock, and I wouldn't short a $10 stock. But my guess is that I have another stock coming on to the list of the Walking Dead, and that may be Rambus. It may take a few years for that to happen, but I don't see how they replace any of the patents that they bought up to really make their licensing fortress and make their licensing deal go. But great deal like companies like in the gold market that only make money as gold is shipped, but they make a percentage every time something is. Rambus, kind of the same kind of company. Again, you can give me a call at 877-927-6648. And that's it. Anyway, what else did I want to get to here in my list of stuff? Monster Energy drink, MNST. Okay, there's a lot of talk of giving the people, after they've had the valve stopper hamburger at McDonald's, a giant shot of sugar and caffeine and other things from Monster beverage at McDonald's. That's what really moved this. It's given about half that money back. And if you look at this, this has been in a congestion zone. It peaked above there and is right back into that level. You can see this thing really started to come down on the 13th. The high of the day was 137.60, and we're kind of getting back into that level. To me, it looks like there's a big seller, or was a big seller, right around that 140 level. We got up to 142.49, and we found him yet again. And I don't know if there's anything else to say about it than that. You've got some nice big gaps that could be filled out here. One at 105. You've got a monster that goes from about 86 down to 70, and one other one. But to me, the one where this thing probably would come back to is this level of 8/15/2014 That gap up happened on 19.7 million shares in, what was that, August of 15th of 2014. And it has not come back and filled that gap. Gap of that size eventually going to get filled. Now, when we look at the 3 displaced moving average, it is above it. But you almost need to go on something like this to a much longer one. You probably would want to go to something like the 25 by 5. Let's turn off the other one. Is it just, there we go. The 25 by 5. Now, to me, this really sets up a interesting short. And even though you got volume here, on a very, very long-term scale, you can use a 25 by 5 displaced moving average. And what this would say is on the next dip below that 25 by 5 long-term moving average, you would want to short this, and that would be where Monster Beverage would tend to start making its way back down here and fill this gap from about, 72 to about 85. What else do we have out here? Okay. Talked about Yum. Let's take a look at SanDisk, SNDK. This is the company that supposedly is being bought out. Nice gap. It's just coming back and filling up this gap down. Does this actually go through? It is, I don't know, between them, and at least the reports are between them and Western Digital. Western Digital is moving like they are buying out SanDisk. Of course, Western Digital has a problem in the fact that they've got nothing but spinning drives. Seagate actually earlier, STX, of course, dropped the Chalupe. That was on the fact that, or at least what they said, was that all their big hard drives, their 4 and 8 gigabyte, or excuse me, 4 and 8 terabyte stocks are and were very much a not selling well, and the margins were poor. Now, this is one of the problems with this entire spinning drive technology and why it's going to be superseded by SSDs in the very near future, and why I'm kind of also bearish on the idea that EMC ever does anything. Once you go electronically, it's a lot easier to just get away from it. One of the things that, and one of the reasons why the products I worked on in the 90s took our company public was that we went from tape decks to actual spinning drives, and they called it nonlinear. It was just less nonlinear. The hard drives had to spin, the heads had to move from track to track. It wasn't truly nonlinear, but it was about 95% nonlinear compared to tape decks at the time. And there was just a huge amount of it. Now, I think we're kind of making that next kind of evolution in technology, but you get an 8 terabyte drive or a 4 terabyte drive, it takes an enormous amount of time for it to go back to tracks other and other places on the disk to get the data. And basically, it doesn't matter how many cars you have on the road if there's still just a few lanes of traffic. That's the problem with big drives.
TFNN is excited to offer a brand new piece of market scanning software unlike anything the industry has ever seen. John Logan and his team have spent years developing their market profile tools to finally be able to release the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. And right now you can get a 2-week trial absolutely free just by visiting TFNN.com and providing us your name and email address. The TAS Profile Scanner Plus is the premier market profile based scanner in the industry, powered by the acclaimed With TAS proprietary algorithms, this feature-rich scanner is a standalone desktop software that instantly filters over 2,500 global financial markets such as stocks, ETFs, commodity futures, and Forex. Within 3 minutes of signing up, you can have the software downloaded and running on your computer with a complete roadmap of market indicators and inflection points to trade off using the TAS Profile Scanner Plus. Sign up today and try this amazing piece of software by visiting TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Trader's Edge heard daily at TFNN.com and author of Mastering Probability, a daily investment and trading newsletter service that I send out each morning by 8 a.m. My morning newsletter service covers exactly what the markets have been doing since last night's close, providing you with an edge on your trading day ahead. You get actionable trading ideas, including the exact entry, stop, and profit targets. Plus, I'll teach you the patterns and hidden market correlations that will make you a better trader. As a subscriber, you'll gain access to my 90-minute money management workshop, where I'll teach you the secrets that'll save your assets. The bottom line, I've got your back, including a 30-day money-back guarantee. See for yourself the type of analysis I provide each trading day by signing up for Mastering Probability today. With nothing to lose, this is an offer you should not pass on. Mastering Probability can be found under Trading Newsletters on the front page of TFNN.com.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And had a question from our engineer out there. He says, what would you say the max capacity for a spinning drive would be before the trade-off of data transfer time starts to diminish? And it depends on what you're doing with it. You know, what I was doing in the 90s was working with IBM and some others trying to get their drive speeds higher up for what we were doing, which was video off of hard drives. Like I said, I went, the big product we had was a thing called a personal animation recorder, which was a way of getting animations onto videotape at the time. And the real problem was that you could literally melt the components off the drive of those IBMs just by continually spinning them. And eventually, especially the bearings would wear out on the IBM drives. But they were very interested. IBM, they used to visit us about once every quarter and show us their new drives. And we sent them some of our product just to go after it. And it depends on how scattered the data is on the drive, actually. for that question. Ours was all written linearly down the drive, so it never had to move more than one track. The heads just moved a tiny bit, just a little bit. But the problem for EMC and others in this big data country is that you really need to make sure that they're not that far away. And much past about 2 terabytes, the drive performance massively falls off. And actually, the heat to speed these things up, or I mean, the heat caused by everything going on, they've done so much as suck the air out of the drives and replaced it with helium and hydrogen. I think it's actually helium. I think they couldn't get hydrogen in there without people thinking it was going to be a bomb of some kind. And just the smaller molecules in there really drop the heat down. I've seen that advertised for the last maybe 6-9 months in the 8 terabyte drives. But it's the drive interfaces. It's how you have to get. So I think you can really see the big picture when we look at Intel and Micron and what they want to do. HP and others trying to get into a realm of making new memory that is much more compact and much better to take over the drive industry. But just about everything that Seagate has touched out here, will people still be buying drives in a couple of years? I think they will. The question's probably not really that. It is probably the end of something where a hard drive was a commodity for 20 years, and we had a flood. I think a lot of people probably were still listening to my show when we talked about the floods going on and all these hard drive companies actually taking off when the floods in Indonesia cratered the drives, caused a artificial supply problem, and that's when these stocks really started to take off. Well, that's gone. You also have better technology. In fact, you can buy 1 and 2 and 4 terabyte SSDs. They're fairly expensive now, but the SSDs are following Moore's law, and eventually I think you're going to continue to see these stocks go lower. They will go higher and go lower depending on people do. There's a lot of people that have a ton of this stock, and they're going to have to get out of it over the years. But I don't think it's any different than BlackBerry. These things can hang on like a loose tooth in a 8-year-old waiting for his quarter under his pillow. You probably get dollars now, don't you? The Tooth Fairy now gives dollars. Probably gives $5 or $10. I got a quarter. Anyway, I will grumble about that later. Hang on for Tom O'Brien, the one and only Andy Heck. He's got a lot of new articles out too. And of course, we'll see you tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time.
Larry Pesavento has just started his brand new service, Fibonacci 24/7, and he's already delivering content to his subscribers on a daily basis when the market's opened and even on weekends. Each Monday, you'll receive Larry's written report that provides detailed commentary and a summary on the charts and videos that Larry sends out. And throughout the week, when warranted, Larry will send out via charts or videos or both the key markets that he is watching during the day. This will be up-to-the-date, active trading information that will help you in your daily trading. In Larry's first week alone, he sent out 25 charts, 6 videos, and a full report to his subscribers in just 1 week. If you're a technical trader that uses patterns and retracements to trade, then Larry's service Fibonacci 24/7 is something that you must try. Right now, new subscribers can get a full 30-day money-back guarantee. With nothing to risk, sign up now to Larry Pesavento's Fibonacci 24/7 by visiting the front page of TFNN.com under Trading Newsletters.
You're watching Tiger TV.